So, who's heard of John Holland? And it's okay if you haven't. I just want to make sure that do I talk a little bit about the company? Yes, all right. Do you guys know what a tier one company is? You've probably heard, it's fine if you haven't, but John Holland is categorized as a tier one company. So we're engineering and we are construction. So we do it all really. We're now coming into the energy sector as well, which is really exciting. We're looking for civil, mostly mechanical engineers for energy. We're also rail and transport. So we definitely look for civil engineers for that as well. We do major projects. We do infrastructure. So when I talk about infrastructure, we do tunneling is probably the biggest thing of all. And there's a special person that can actually go into tunnels, I reckon. So mechanical, electrical, civil, and we also look for mechatronic engineers too. So that's what we're looking for. And right now I'm advertising roles for our graduate program. So for those few of you, thanks for coming, who in your final year, you could apply for our grad program. And our grad programs traditionally always start in February and they go for about 2 years as well. Now, I was late today, so this is entirely my fault about trying to get our PowerPoint working. I'll just talk. I'll just talk. I just think this is probably the main thing. Well, darling, it was on SharePoint and I just didn't download it, so okay. It's okay.
I get hotspot. Like hotspot off my phone.
I just feel we'll just talk. Yeah. I think probably the session is the perfect person to talk to. Okay, so whilst I'm just waiting on this, perhaps I think we'll just have to leave it alone.
I'll keep trying my.
Keep trying, it's fine. I just had a couple of videos to show, but I'm just actually really interested because I like to be very interactive. This is what I do, and I just wondering what questions you have for us. What are you really interested in? You're interested in me talking about how to actually stand out as a candidate, because some of you, you've got a couple of years ahead, but I do intern programs. Are you interested in what it's like to work in construction? What it's like the everyday life of a civil engineer? I'm just keen to know and stalling for time as to what you're interested in learning. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to talk to one another and please ask me some questions. So giving about 2 minutes and then I'm going to be very targeted. We've got a civil engineer. We've also got an electrical engineer that can talk about life as part of John Holland and engineering and construction, because it's a little bit different to design, us project delivery. So give you a couple of minutes just to think on questions, and then I'll look at the floor.
Yeah.
Now what I do is I tend to grab a microphone and just go around and ask people. It's got terrifying, isn't it?
Much better.
What I tend to do. So whilst they're thinking of questions, and I will come around and ask you, so it's going to be pretty interactive. You don't just sit there and be entertained. I'm going to ask, I might just ask you guys questions about your work.
Yeah.
Stand up. Oh my goodness.
A little bit of.
So it's okay. No, sit. Come on. This is going to be quick.
All right, all yours next.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you for that. But I do hope you have some questions for me. Like I said, I don't like a passive audience. I want people to actually ask me questions. And I'm going to be very brutally honest as well, because you know what? Construction isn't for everyone. One of the things that grads tell me, so I have about 80 grads per cohort. So I've got about 160 graduates, right? Most of them are engineers, and then we've got some business grads and comms grads. And they say to me, and you can back me up on this, or you can disagree, but the hours can be longer than you expect. Now, look, that's a problem within our industry, and we're trying to work on it, but it's not your typical 9 to 5, is it? Not really. Not really. Because we don't want to be disruptive to the communities that we serve, we can work some really interesting hours, but we're trying to work with flexibility in mind as well. So that's one thing about construction is the hours can be a little bit longer, but I got to say it's a very exciting world that we work in as well. We definitely flexible working. I don't want to put you off just.
Yeah, that's it.
So, John Holland, as I mentioned before, we're across Australia and also in New Zealand. We've got a little bit of rail and transport work in Auckland and in Wellington as well. So we've got a couple of grads in the most beautiful country in the world, New Zealand, but I might be just a little bit biased. These are some of the streams, some of the work that we do. I'm not going to read them out. But as I mentioned before, we've got infrastructure. Major projects are just much bigger projects. We do a lot of tunnelling, which is a very big thing with us, and a huge amount of rail and transport. Now, if you haven't actually heard of John Holland, that's okay. It's because we tend to work in joint ventures. So we're not actually able to market our company when we're working with other construction companies. But, you know, I'm just trying to think of some work around Sydney that you may know about.
Well, Sydney Metro.
Sydney Metro, John Holland, we work for that.
Well, even last weekend we were working with Bangalore, doing the Sydney to Lakeside.
Okay, I will allow the voice in you, so do you want to come up with me and just talk in line? I'm going to put this problem. I can't whisper. So we've got a civil engineer, and you're a grade alum or a graduate? You're a grade alum, so you're probably graduated the program. You look so young to me. What years ago?
Oh, no, even last year. Oh, sorry. 2020. Yes.
2023. So just tell me a little bit about each rotation that you did at John Holland and a little bit about the work that you do. Just come up here because I think there's a microphone here.
Yeah, I think my experience is a little bit different to a lot of other graduates because I actually had the blessing and opportunity to stay in one particular stream. With the grad program, you do get the opportunity to rotate around different sort of industries in the sense that you can go into building, you can go into infrastructure, you can go into rail and transport. That's our three main sort of business units that we have at John Holland. Because I love rail, I stuck to rail. And the business unit that I was put into is called Rail Services by New South Wales ACT, which we do mainly maintenance, track maintenance and civil maintenance works for a lot of clients such as City Trains. Don't know whether you've heard of ARTC, which is the regional operator in Australia, and Sydney Metro as well. A lot of graduates, they actually not just do civil engineering, we do a little bit of mechanical, there are even electrical engineers as well that sort of work in my sphere as well. And the best thing is that you don't need to be an expert at civil engineering. I know I definitely wasn't when I went to uni, UNSW, by the way. But you do have to understand what other people in your team are doing as well. And you do have to be a team member, which is the main thing of engineering pretty much. So, if there's any specific question probably after the presentation.
Yeah. What does the day-to-day look like? I think that's actually what a lot of university students ask me. What do you mostly focus on? Or does it depend on the life cycle of the project that you're on?
Yes, it definitely does. With sort of my business unit, I have the privilege of going through from the tendering stage, so that's more commercial, through to the actual delivery of a project. So I have the opportunity to see an entire project through its entire life cycle. Now, as a graduate, you have the choice to go either to Piedmont to do sort of pre-contracts, more office-based work, or you can go to a project where you can learn all about the delivery phase, which is more on-site based. I'm not gonna lie, a lot more hours as well. So
Yes, okay. All right, so now look, I'm going to see if this video works. If it doesn't, we're okay. We'll just sync them. This is one of our civil engineering graduates, or grad alum, and her name is Tanzia.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good mate of mine, Tanzia.
She's
Good mate of mine. Yeah.
perfect. Now, I'm just going to see if that actually comes up. Doesn't look as exciting as it could. That's okay. Asked you, I think I've got some of the answers. You started off as a civil engineering student at the University of New South Wales.
Yes.
What's your job title now?
So I'm officially a site engineer.
Yeah.
But you can, depending on where you go, actually, you can sort of go into where Tanzia, I think she has a commercial background.
Yes.
So that's why she's more of a contract administrator. Yeah, she was more interested in sort of commercial stream when I was talking to her. She's a civil engineer by trade,
Yeah.
and she was part of my team as well for a little bit. But I think because contracts is something as well that a civil engineer, a good civil engineer, should also know to know the finances around what plant or equipment that you're procuring for your jobs. Also, as well, part of my job is to balance money because well, right. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you. This is other videos. All right, so that's Tanzia. She just qualified, graduated from my grad program end of last year, and she's in contracts administration.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. And so what her job is really to ensure that we're keeping within our finances. We're looking at every stage of our expenditure and making sure that we're not going over budget. That's probably the most important thing as well. So there's a lot of different things you can do. You can be also in procurement, which is thinking about all the suppliers that we work with. We've got another graduate, Tom Richards, who's a civil engineer and also had a degree in finance too. But the thing about our grad program is, as you mentioned before, you can actually work in different areas. And in those different areas, there's a very different type of job. Most of our recruitment is civil engineers as well. And it's a permanent job. So once you've actually done 2 years in our grad program, then you get a permanent role within John Holland as well. Now, I can talk about salary if you're interested. If you want to know what money looks like as a civil engineer graduating, I think that would be really important for me. And any questions that you might have, as I say, I'll just come up and ask. So our graduates currently, they start at roughly about $90,000. That's what they start off in their very first year, coming straight out of university. I think it might actually be 93,000, so probably just a little bit more than you. It's gone up. And the nice thing about our grad program is that every year we do a market review, and we just do that market adjustment as well. So it can leap up to about between 5,000 and 7,000. So every year we do a market adjustment. It's not unusual when you're a couple of years out of the grad program to be on a roughly about 140,000, 150,000.
Depending on your line of work.
Yeah, so it's not a bad salary. We're probably one of the highest paying of all the construction industries as well. So why John Holland? I might just get Sam up to talk about that as well. and then I'll definitely ask you questions.
Afternoon, everybody. Sam here. Started with John Holland in 2010 as a grad. So 14 years later, I'm still here. So why John Holland? I finished university in Auckland, graduated as an electrical engineer, came to Australia for work. Got a graduate signaling engineering job. So again, I work at rail, been in rail since then. John Holland's a great company to work for, sets you up for the future. There's, as you start with a graduate program, you get to rotate every 6 months between different projects, different streams. You also get on-site and on-job coaching and mentoring. So you get paired up with another engineer, or you get paired up with a manager, or you might get paired up with a supervisor. Back in my time, I got paired up with supervisors and managers. So all my skill I learned on the job, graduating from electrical engineering, I went straight to signaling, chalk and cheese. You can't compare. So I had plenty of opportunities. I did a postgraduate diploma with John Holland. Was the first in John Holland, so it was in signaling communications engineering. I've got accreditations in the two different railways. Was Sydney Trains and ARTC, so I've got licenses allows me to do certain things in the rail corridor. I worked across asset management and CRM. We had CRM probably about 8 years ago. And now I float between jobs. I worked in rail services for probably about 3 or 4 years. So doing pre-contracts, tendering, seeing the project from cradle to grave. Did plenty of firsts in projects. So I was given opportunities to deliver projects that were first in New South Wales, first in ARTC and first in Sydney Trains, which is our main client for John Holland. From upskilling, it's all in there within John Holland. So you shadow engineer or supervisor or a manager, and then as you go through a graduate program, you become a site engineer, and you're still getting coached and mentored to become a project engineer, and you're still getting coached and mentored. So really, you're not there by yourself. Even as you go through the rankings into, as engineers, we can stop when we want to stop to be an engineer. You can stay as an engineer, or you can go to management. And even then, you get coached and upskilled. So John Holland runs project leadership courses, future leadership courses, and we get also online training through our John Holland corporate program. As soon as you graduate, you get brought into the safety, quality, environmental risk management system. So you start learning what it takes to be an engineer, what it takes to be in construction. So going through all those construction activities, you saw in all the different disciplines, whether it's rail, building, infra, or major projects, the hours do change. Rail, we do a lot more hours than the rest of the streams because possessions are generally on Saturday, Sunday, or in public holidays. I've worked across 7 Christmas and New Year's. Last year was my only one I had off at home. We work on weekends as well on rail. Rail pays the best and does the best anyway. But yeah, so it's a private job, especially when you work in infrastructure and as well when you're building things. When we go to university, you want to be an engineer. You want to see things built. We want to build things. You want to see accomplish things, and you want to see them gradually build through. So.
What's the coolest part of your job? What's the best thing that you can think of?
Definitely seeing what you plan out from the moment that you see it on your computer screen to actually seeing it, in person in real life. You putting it in, and then on the Monday you see trains running over it, or putting in a new bridge or something. You just think you put that in, like in your case, you're working at water treatment services, so. That's like a sort of multi-year project where you're working around central, you're working with different. We're uplifting the train movements through the T2, T4, T8 line by 4 trains an hour. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but the complexity in that from civil construction, turnout renewals, track, formation, track slabs, reballasting, all that kind of stuff. And then also affected overhead wiring. So the coolest thing ever to me is working with people. I'm a people's person. I get out. I'm never stuck in the office. I'm on site if it's raining, if it's hail, if it's hot, 40 degrees, 30 degrees, 25, 18, rain. You soak from your head to your toe. I love every bit of it. So that's why I did engineering. So part of my day is interacting with different people.
I'm going to ask some HR questions, but I'm hoping if I'm a university student, what are the things that, and I can answer this too, what are the behaviours that make up a really good construction site engineer? You said about people person.
For me is skill you learn on the job, intelligence, you learn on the job as well. So from my perspective is working with an engineer, working with a person who's willingness to learn, open, and just willing to go the extra mile. So if you have interest and passion in learning, to me that's more than a PhD student or A grade student.
You don't have to have the marks, I think, to come out of university to get into even a tier one company like John Holland. As long as you have, like Sam was saying, as long as you have the drive, the passion to work, and you also don't want to stay in the office for too long, maybe go outside a little bit as well. If you have that drive, definitely go places, and a lot of people will be willing to teach you and to upskill you, because at John Holland, managers they like to keep talent in house.
And John Holland is one of, especially in rail, we're the only tier one company that do everything in house. So we do track, civil, electrical, and signaling communications all in house. So we don't go external. So that's why we're kind of niched into rail, because we grew up in rail and we talk rail.
That's why we also know each other a lot as well, because we worked a lot with, we're completely different disciplines. Well, I could ask Sam about track or civil, which is the ground pretty much. And Sam could ask me anything about, well, I wouldn't be very knowledgeable about.
We know each other's jobs because we support each other, and that's one of the things. You build your engineering core, you build your support, and when you move across projects, you may not be working together again, but you always got that think of, hey, remember this? We did this way. What do you think of this? So you always have somebody support you.
Okay, you've got to have some questions for me, because this is such a good opportunity to talk to us, and we'll be very honest with you. So look, hands up. I need to have a couple of questions, please. What do we got? Perfect. Okay, go for it.
Have either of you worked for any other companies, or do I know that you went straight through graduate program to John Holland, or do you have any experience with maybe other tier one companies at all? Is there a difference between maybe John Holland? Is there anything special that you guys think?
Well, that's fine. So when I graduated university, I went straight to Queensland Rail as a grad civil engineer. I actually interviewed for an overhead wiring job, and I got a signal job. I know I was getting into, I just wanted to get the cash. So I did a year in Queensland Rail, did rail, that's why I got introduced to rail and got to signaling. Met my wife, got married, so I was like, I'll apply to New South Wales, if I get jobs, if I get to Queensland, if I get a job, I got a job on a grad program. Actually went back in salary, just so I could get it. So I moved over here, and I did a bit of it from rail perspective. I've seen other tier ones work. I worked in joint ventures, and the thing that sets us apart is we can do self-delivery in rail. Especially in rail, I come to a couple of projects. We also do self-delivery in rail roads and all that kind of stuff. I'm coming from a rail background, I speak about rail. Self-delivery is what sets us apart from other tier one companies who do everything in-house, training, delivery, resourcing, all our blue collar wages. It's all internal as well. So we manage, and you get to build a relationship with the guys and the girls on site as well. We've got female apprentices, electrical apprentices, track, as well as overhead wiring, as well as heavy voltage as well, electrical. So you get to mingle not only with engineers, but to mingle also with the blue collar, and we look after as well, support blue collar, and vice versa, also support us. And from my perspective, that's why I learned the craft and the trade of rail. I had great track mentors and track supervisors as well.
A bit about me. With the scouts, I actually did an internship at Langarote. So directly comparing Langarote to John Holland, I felt a little bit. It's very biased. I felt a little bored at Langarote. Then I joined not really a tier two, but a formwork reel company that was building Sydney Metro at the time. So I got to sort of see what it's like to deliver, like directly deliver for a client such as Sydney Metro, and then see how John Holland as well sort of encapsulated himself by delivering to the client. And when I finally got the opportunity to join, I actually joined as an undergrad, and then I asked my manager, Owen Group, to apply for the grad program, up to enter. And just the team, just the teamwork from not just my track and civil team, but all the disciplines within rail services it's unparalleled. It's you can ask any technical question that you want, and they'll be more than happy to set aside their work and come and help you. Yeah, which is, I feel like it's very different. I don't think Langarote would do that.
A little bit about John Holland too, which I just skipped over. We're about 70 years old. So we're started by John Holland, who was a military veteran. And he was really very passionate about good engineering. In fact, I think he blew up bridges overseas. That was one of the things that he did as an engineer, didn't actually construct them. So he started 70 years ago, and that feeling of John Holland is still there. And all the things that he learned in the army, it's very much still part of our culture as well. It's not as hierarchical, which is what I like. I like a flatter organisation. It's so much better. But there's a real pride in what we do. And we often say our secret sauce is that we are a very strong brand within the industry, and we get the very best of the best. And I don't want to do the whole marketing speak, because I really just want to be very entirely honest with you. But I think the thing about John Holland, and I won't speak about our competitors because they could be just as good in this regard, but we do care about succession planning. We really care about the next talent pipeline. And as we just mentioned, you just mentioned, we're not looking for top of class grads. I look at your academic transcripts to see that you're going to pass. That's all I really care about. I look mostly for your behaviour. I just want a good human being. So we have a bit of a no dickhead rule. That's the sort of thing we're looking for. I'm looking for humility, somebody who's really, really humble and is open to learning. That's the main thing I think about at all times. So top of class is great, but you've got to have a personality. You've got to be a great communicator, and you've got to get on with people. You've got to be part of that team as well. Now, again, I'm going to ask you guys for questions, because this is such a nice opportunity to ask us anything that you want. And whilst I'm waiting for a hand to go up, and I'm okay in silence, I can sit here for as long as I like. I just want to know, when you started off as a graduate, both of you, or as an undergraduate in the case, did you make any mistakes? And, you know, okay, and what do you do in that case when you make a mistake? The thing that students often ask is, oh my God, what if I make a massive mistake? What happens then?
I have the last one, something for you, Bill.
Yeah, true.
I'll watch you make a mistake first. That's how to make it.
Yeah, there has been, I won't say money, but I've made mistakes, definitely as an undergrad. And the thing with when I was working at rail services is, because as an undergrad, you're all put in charge of some very major sort of jobs for big clients like Sydney Trains, right? This is hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're talking about, and you make a planning error or something, and that's money. That's something money. And you know, you can feel terrible about it, or you can pick yourself up and you can say, okay, damage is done. What can a good engineer would think about a contingency plan, what to do afterwards. And the best thing as well about, especially my team, I'm going to talk about my team a lot, I reckon, tonight, but they are, it's the same with all John Holland people. They are the ones that will not belittle you when things really hit the fan. They always have my back. And you know, if somebody would make a mistake, or if I would make a mistake, they'd say, look, it's time to regroup, process, see what situation we're in. We can deliver this job on time. We can deliver this job under budget. The support of my team really helped me with this. And experiences as well. Like it sort of molds you as an engineer. You know, if you make mistakes, like everybody's practically making mistakes. Best thing to do is pick up your head and learn from it. Make sure that you learn from it.
We're all human, nobody's perfect. I still make mistakes now, and I've been doing it for 10 years. So again, it's how you move on from it as a grad. You know, your expectation of a grad is you come in and you got to learn and do the work. And like I said, there's people still, I'm still making mistakes, and how do you recover from it? Provide early warning. Look, I missed something, or I missed a deadline, or I missed a procurement. How can I get over it? Oh, I missed a procurement for a bit of kit. I've got plan B. This was not coming. However, we can do this, etc. So nobody comes to work to make a mistake. So things do happen. but we try and alleviate the pain. We try and raise it to our managers. We try to raise it to each other or stuff like that, and we always support each other. There is not at one stage where, hey, it's your problem, you go fix it. How can we collectively fix it? And there is no blame culture in John Holland as well. So as long as you come with the best intentions, as long as you come in, you do your job, you do your job well, things bound to happen. But back of our heads, number one priority is where we don't like to make mistakes is the safety. And safety for us, the safety of our workers, safety of our clients, the safety of people that, for example, use the public transport.
Thank you. One of our, I guess, our brand is about transforming lives. So that's very much inherent in everything we do. So every big strategic decision we make, all the way through to site and through to corporate office, is what we're doing. How does it affect the community? How does it actually positively transform lives? So that's a real big consideration we do. But I just wanted to ask and then answer a question, and that's about diversity. So one thing I do want to say is that we're open to international students, and that's not common in construction because it can be a little bit tricky. So we're very, very open to diversity. The one thing we still have to get better on is attracting more women into construction. So that could be fair tourism, which is we're still trying to get more women, and it's really difficult with engineering students. It's about 12% of engineering students that are female. So that's one thing we need to do better as an industry as well. Yeah.
So around the room, I can use my fingers on my toes to count the female participants and female engineers. When I did my engineering, I think we had potentially, I think two girls back in my year. So it's great that sessions like this do help bring in diversity as well.
Especially if you're considering not just consultancy, but even don't rule out the delivery or the construction industry where we are as well. Going to hop on about Riz as well. Two of the best engineers in my team are females, and one of them happens to be an undergraduate who started in second year of her course. So just thinking about delivering hundreds of thousands of dollars of projects and then going the next day to complete an assignment, it's not impossible. If she can do it, I'm sure you guys can do it. It's never.
We do have a couple of what we call employee groups or resource groups. We've got the Celebrate Women Network, which is really very popular with our graduates. We've got the Grow Network, which was created by a graduate, Nizarati. And the Grow Network is about edifying people who are new to the construction industry. We've got the Pride Network too, and we've just got a new one, Ability, for people with a disability and those that are allies too. So our community is very, very diverse and very inclusive, and that was my biggest concern when I rocked up in construction for the first time is how is a woman, and a woman who's a mature woman, within the Pride Network, Pride community, how am I going to fit in at John Holland? And I felt really, really safe and really heard. So that's a big thing for me too. So if you are part of that LGBT plus community, we're very open. In fact, we were one of the only construction companies that walked in not just Midsummer Pride, which is a Pride March in Melbourne in February, but we also did it at Mardi Gras in Sydney, one of the only. So we're a very, very big contender in that space. Okay, we've got to have a couple more questions. So any questions coming up? Here we go.
Any programs for business?
Any questions? Oh, any programs for first year? Thank you for first of all, thanks for being the first person to ask a question. Yeah, we do actually. We've got undergraduates all the time. So we've got quite a few different streams. You don't have to come in the graduate program. It might not work for you, and I can talk about that. You could come in as an undergrad, and an undergrad is just an individual who's a casual employee. So you're studying, and we try and work around your study and your timetable to work for us. So you're probably going to work maybe a couple of days a week at the most. And with an undergrad, it's a really good position to be in because then you can climb into our grade program. We look very favourably at that too. We're about to start our intern program. We should have done this years ago, and that's for our penultimate students, so those in their final year. And what will happen, and I'm telling you stuff that I haven't even told my manager, but is that we're going to run an intern program between November and February every year. And you'll get a permanent placement. If you love us, we love you, you'll get a permanent job. So you're in your final year of study and you know that you're a permanent role within John Holland. It's pretty good. Thanks for that question. Any other questions that you might have for our civil engineer, our electrical engineer, or me as a recruiter? Because go for it, man at the back.
What's like a quick summary of like a day?
Nice, okay.
A lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee, yeah. I didn't realize how much. It's a little bit different for me and Sam. For me, it's a very tight dive between office work, a lot of office work, getting in a lot of documentation to do your clients versus going out to site, because you're actually delivering the jobs as well. You have to do a lot of measurements on site, then take it back to the office, write it down, send it across. So, describe it all a bit. I'd say describing chaos. Yeah, organized chaos. That's what. Like, for example, I'm working over Easter this long weekend, which is not what a lot of people would like to do on one weekend typically. So my days currently right now is pretty much getting materialists ready from city trains, making sure I go out to my yard, count up how many, hold down bolts, or how many screw spikes, or how many blocks that we need for our installation job. And then actually going out to site, making sure that our supervisors are on top of the works, going through the program, making sure that traffic control has been alerted as well to the road closures that are within the area. As an engineer, it's not just about civil, you're just on top of everything. As a sort of project manager, and you're trying to organize all of this chaos, both in the office and on site. Some of it is 9 to 5, or weekend works, you can stretch it closer to after hours, around 7 or 8. I think at the end of the day, on the Monday, when we finish up our job, that's the most rewarding thing.
From my perspective, leave home from start to finish, leave home around 6 in the morning, get to site just before 7 with a toolbox. So we do as engineers, when I started the grad, we started the grad, you come in, you expect to be the toolboxes, deliver some toolboxes, just it's pretty much introducing yourself to your cohort and to your workforce. So you come in, do your toolboxes, get in there, like coffee number 1, sit on your desk, check your emails, I organize my emails, priorities, so set up a list, what I need to do today, I'm gonna hit bang, 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 look at the back, I missed these, put it into the front, because it should have been done yesterday, for example. Everybody comes in through there on, look at my outlook, what meetings do I have, what I need to prep for my meetings. Majority of the work as an engineer, I'll tell everybody, is when you come in, you're not a civil engineer, you're not an electrical engineer, you're not a mechanical or mechatronics, you're just a person that knows how to solve a problem. That's what we do engineering for you. We problem solve problems. Everything you need to know, we will teach it to you on the job. Everything you need to know, the job will teach you on site. During your stint. So my day is pretty much design management, design management, financial, commercial management. I'm currently in the middle of 2 tenders and 2 big tenders. Go from 250 mil plus, 300 plus to little 100K jobs, 10K jobs, or 100K jobs, or 20 mil, stuff like that. So when you do your tenders and your pre-contracts as an engineer, you can roll between different values. And each one of them has got its own challenges, its own risks, its own rewards, and its own opportunities. Also in my role, as a senior project engineer, I do a lot of coaching and mentoring with other engineers. I also coach and mentor designers, and I deal a lot more with the client and deal with the longer term programs where, for example, PEs, sites grads deal with the shorter term programs. So they come in, smash out weekends after weekends after weekends, and that's the stuff that keeps the company going, possession after possession, small chunks. Monday to Friday is because we're rail again with the bias. Monday to Friday is our prep. And rail, if you're on prep Monday to Friday, your possession is going to So it's all about prep and how you prepare yourself for the weekend. So that's one of the Friday jobs: manage commercials, manage your design, manage the client. Paperwork, there's a lot of paperwork that you don't know how to do now, but you can pull on your job experience. You need to know how to do standards and work with the standard procedures. You're governed by legislations and laws that we're going to abide by, and individual people are held liable as well. So it doesn't matter what level you are, you've got certain liabilities that you're held liable for as well, whether it's the John Holland or an external with another company or with the procedures and standards. But all of that is, something that pride in. I built this, trains are running on it, look how people are moving to the train. And then opposition is pretty much inside, looking after the work, make sure we're delivering on program, make sure we meet all the requirements, standards and design, and capture design changes. As a civil engineer, if you're working on rail, there's a lot of stuff you do that you know what you do that. So you're ordering a big piece of land, like bigger than this building, you're dropping tunnels through on the track while trains are running. You're looking after massive train, how long trains you run, 220 meters of spoil trains.
Yeah.
You're bringing the John Holland tampers to tank track, regulate the track, so you're trying to get all the formations, all the levels up and running. And at the same time, you've got me chasing you saying, you're late, hurry up.
Yeah.
So you get to deal with a lot of facets of engineering in a day. So in an 8-hour day, you're dealing a lot, and you end up probably doing 12-hour days by the time you get home. And by the time you get home, the last thing you want to do is talk to anybody. You're pretty much mentally exhausted, but wake up the next day, you come to work, you're like, I did that. Mom, dad, wife, husband, son, daughter, look what I built.
It's hectic.
It's a lot of pride. We take a lot of pride in our work and quality.
Any other questions at all before we wrap up?
And during the end of the day, you probably got 6 copies. So,
6 copies.
Be successful within the industry, what do you recommend students like us to get involved within our studies? And
I was never an A student or HG student, but I did give everything a go. I did everything. Everybody was asking me, I did. I said no. The first answer is yes. Figure out later. So positive attitude, can-do attitude. Also, what else have you done with what you studied? Multiple time job or extracurricular activities and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you're all trying to compete with each other to get the better job.
Are you asking about studying now, or currently? What should you focus on within your papers that you're studying?
so just as a student, we've got a lot of clubs around uni, and there's a lot of extracurricular and different opportunities. What are some things that you recommend?
So what do you
to have the skill set to go get forward with them?
Kind of question. What are you doing right now as a society or as a club?
Which you're typically to start off with.
I'm the first.
Possession?
I'm not involved with any club society this semester.
Are you into like sports, or are you into any sort of hobbies or anything? Or
Yeah, sports.
sports, yeah. My recommendation: keep on doing these sports, keep on doing these extracurricular activities, even when you're working as well, because that's what that's what my manager looked into. So always having a go, always making sure that you have a good work ethic, that you're open to learn and open to take on advice as well. Don't be shut from taking on advice. And then also as well, make sure to have a life outside of work as well. I know that's very hard for us to say, but in the future you'll be having families, you'll be having kids as well. You don't want to make work as the #1 priority as well. What my manager look for is you're going to make sure that you have a life outside of work as well. And it sort of shows in the lifestyle of some of our team members as well. I feel like we live a lot of a very active lifestyle outside of work. I also do a lot of sports. I play cricket. I play football. But making sure that you are open to learning, open to also as well extracurricular stuff. Work is not the #1.
Can I just say, as a recruiter as well, so I run the entire recruitment suite, so I'm looking to see certain behaviours. And and it's not just me, I've got friends that run grad programs at PwC, you name it, Lend-Lease, and they often ask a big interview question, which is, what do you do? But we love it when you show leadership quality. And often you find that if you've been a treasurer or a president of a university society, we love that. We follow you guys all the time. So we know that these are born leaders. That's a big thing. And we want to see passion and motivation. Very, very big. So I'm already following you guys. Stalking, as they call it. The other thing too is that you can then easily render a really good interview answer because you're talking about collaboration. You're talking about the sporting field. You're talking about leadership and how you get on with people that might be a little bit different in the way they think to you. Those are good things, even if you don't have an internship, because it's really hard to get internships. I know that. We're not always looking for first year. We're looking for penultimate year. So what can you do? Get those leadership skills going or collaboration skills. That's what I would say as the lead recruiter.
Also, to tone it back is you're not expected to learn. You're not expected to know when you come in as a grad as well. So, not expecting you to build projects when you come in.
Build bridges.
Build bridges, or build projects, or deliver a job or estimate a job. You get to learn all of that. So that's you learn on the job.
Be very open to all the senior colleagues. It won't even be from, say, your particular, because I'm guessing you're all civil engineers. Be open to as well electrical engineers, be open to mechanical engineers. Because what you learn on the job as well, it also actually helps you with your career progression. So if you're looking at say going into, like Ainsley was saying, like if you're stepping up into a managerial role or further on into an executive role, to know the sort of background understanding of all the disciplines underneath you is you build that foundation by learning from different disciplines as well. So be open to learning.
We do a hackathon with our grads every year. So we have our electrical, mechatronic, civil, and they come together and they solve a gnarly problem. And we do that with Oricon. And I don't know if you've heard of Oricon, but that's a design company that we work very closely with. So we did the Westgate Tunnel together. This is in Melbourne though. And we had Oricon grads and John Holland grads talking about their role. So from design all the way through to delivery. So you've got to respect the designers and you've got to respect the delivery people too. And just as you said before, you've got to have an appreciation of the different streams as well. So we try and get you guys working as much as we can. In our graduate program, learning and development is very big for me. That's my background. So I try and give you guys what we do. And actually, we do a lot of networking too. So as I said, it's a 2-year grad program. And every month now, probably we didn't do this with you, but we do networking. So we come together with an executive lead. We give them a gnarly problem to solve. We have our alumni help them solve it and give them mentors as well. We do some behavioural learning and development, some technical masterclasses as well. What else do we do? We also went bowling 2 weeks ago. I think they're going to be doing something with guns, but it probably shouldn't be with guns. We do a little bit of drinking in pubs and bars. We're trying to get the grads to be really close as a unit. So month to month to month, I spend an awful lot of money on doing exactly that, which is social interaction. And we also bring them all together across the different states as well. So very, very social grads. You can be I'll have to check the bar tab if you do.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And that's a little bit unusual because grad programs do say this often, but they don't always deliver. So we had a review of our grad program. The grad said, look, less about behavioural learning and development. It ain't us. We're more interested in just coming together and actually mingling and just having fun, because the point of a grad program is only about networking as far as I'm concerned. It really is, and meeting those executives who can be fantastic mentors. But I would say that, and I was a graduate 20 years ago, I'm still close with the grads that I went in with. I still meet up with them every so often. And it's the best thing to do when you've got that gnarly problem and you can't quite figure out who it is, the answer. You've got your mate that started with you 20 years ago.
Another thing is also, you see once you start the workforce and you start your career is, everybody's just like you, wants to get the job done, but also want to have fun doing it. And you have great memories. When I started, every project I on, you probably see me go up and take a photo. First thing I do. So I've got photos from 15 years ago of the people I worked with, and I sent them the other day to them on Outlook. Hey, check this out. You know, you had a head full of hair, it was all black. You're skinny, and you go, what happened now? Because we're working with you. So we also take the piss out of each other, we're all joking around with each other. Don't care, you know, if you're a grad or you're an exec. Everybody has fun with everybody. And everybody takes this up everybody as well. So it's a lot of family orientated work as well, especially with John Holland. You build the ties, and when you come to work, it doesn't feel like you're like home. It also makes it a bit of a challenge because you want to switch off when you get home. But it's great. It's great to be in that kind of work environment. Especially when you probably find it a risk.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I met Sam, like walking into the room, sort of put it together, each other. Yeah, when we were together. So it's been, yeah, probably with as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, working with like even a lot of disciplines as well. Like a lot of people in different teams, you sort of get to know each other's family. So a lot of work that you do after we would usually go to like barbecues or stuff to just socialize. And even now, I don't have much experience like Sam, but three of the people in my grad cohort are like very good mates of mine. So Tanzia, who's a contracts administrator, James, who's in I think the tech team at Edward, and then myself. And we always kind of joke together that put us three in the same team. We're going to be production manager, going to be commercial head, James going to be technical lead.
And you do have those opportunities as well.
Sorry, I didn't cut you off. One more video, because this is all the Brad's doing it, I just filmed it. All right, so that's just our grads and said, look, can you just film for me and show me what a day looks like? So we just sort of made a montage, but that was Tom Richards and Tanzi was in there, so all the civil engineers. And I think the biggest thing that they always say to me is, and you've mentioned it before, Sesh, is it's exciting. It feels like you're on an AFL sporting field and you're passing that ball and you don't know if you're going to catch it, but it's exhilarating being part of construction. It isn't for everybody. We've told you about the hours, and even me, I can work 12-hour days for recruitment. It doesn't last forever. There is flexibility, but the hours can be hard, but the money does match. And I think probably the last thing, the best thing for me is just being able to have that legacy project as well. I don't know if there's any more questions, but that's a bit of a wrap on John Holland. So I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you on behalf of Seuss and also everyone here today. We really appreciate the transparency and conversation that we've had with you guys. It's, yeah, really great.
It's not the most polished presentation today. I got to say, we just met up for the very first time, as you can tell. But look, I just want to be really transparent. I don't blame bullshitting. I want to be totally honest with you. So we meet your expectations if you do join with John Holland. Big thing for us.
Thank you lots for that. It's
A pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.